Welcome to the No Name Music Cast. To follow us on Instagram, go to No Name Music Cast Podcast. To send us an email, it's nonamemusiccast@gmail.com. And to visit our website, go to nonamemusiccast.com. Now, on with the show. Hello and welcome, everybody. Welcome to the No Name Music Cast. My name's Tim, and this is
Joy.
And here we are, the top of the show, recording on a Friday. Friday is really becoming our routine, regular night for No Name Music Cast recording.
I think that just gives to the illusion that me and Tim do work Monday through Friday, which is true.
Yeah, I tend to record on a Friday. We're recording on a Friday, and then I tend to the following week mix the episode on a Thursday and post it so it's in the queue. But you know, that's all technical stuff that you don't need to worry about as you listen to our podcast.
We will just make sure you never miss a week, though the news we give you might be 3 weeks old.
Yeah, it might be a little bit old, but you know, it's still important. It's still important information that you might not have necessarily heard before.
Well, speaking of that, Tim, what would you like to tell the people today?
Okay, so this is some interesting news that came out today. Gene Simmons. Now, Gene Simmons of the band Kiss. Now, as we know, Kiss as a touring entity doesn't exist anymore. They played their final show at Madison Square Gardens, and they said they'd retired, and this time it was for real. And Kiss has gone digital.
Okay.
Yeah, so they sold all their likenesses and all their back catalogue and stuff to this company that's owned by a member of ABBA. And they're going to do a thing like ABBA Voyage, where it's going to be a virtual show type thing, and that's how Kiss is going to live on. But the various members of Kiss are still out there touring because they like to play. And Gene Simmons recently announced a solo tour. And this hit the headlines a bit because, you know, with Kiss and Gene and Paul, everything is for sale. Whatever you want. You want Paul Stanley to come to your wedding. There's a price for that. If you want every piece of equipment off their stage, they'll sell you that. You know, it's just everything is for sale. So this Gene Simmons solo tour hit the headlines because for $12,000 you could be Gene Simmons's PA for the day. You could hang out the sound checks. You could travel with him in his vehicle. You could, and then you got
let you move his heavy equipment for him.
Yeah, you got a signed bass guitar and a this and a that, and it hit the headlines. Oh, isn't this expensive? $12,000. Well, if you're a fan and you've got that money to throw around, I mean, there's your price. I mean, it's not like it's water or air. You don't have to have it. Yeah,
and at the end of the day, if they have the money and they want to pay it, it is what it is. No one's forcing someone to do it.
Yeah, because Hannah said to me, what happens if it was Brian May and it was £10,000 and you got to spend a weekend with him in his house and jam on his guitar? I said, that I'd probably get involved in that.
I mean, I can't think of anyone in my mind that I would do that for, but I could see if you were, you know what I mean? There's one specific artist that's very influential. And I mean, I'm kind of one of those people, I don't understand. So like when we talk about celebrities spending their money on things like getting plastic surgery, I'm like, why do you care?
Yeah.
If I have money, like I just don't get it. Why do you care where they spend their money? Now, I could see there is some argument if we're talking about the 1% billionaires, Tim, the way they can spend their money. That's one thing. But like if we're just talking about Brian May, he's not a 1% billionaire. Let him spend his money however he wants.
Exactly. But I tell you one thing, the sting to the tail of this Gene Simmons from Kiss story. So I said it made the headlines because of this PA thing that you could buy for $12,000. Well, it looks like that Gene has cancelled his solo tour. Apparently this morning, ticket holders started getting notices from the various venues saying that the date has been cancelled. And initially it was just a few places. It was like Anaheim's House of Blues, and there was a place in Miami and Houston, Texas. But like other fans are saying they're all getting these notifications. Yeah. Now, most people are saying the tour is being cancelled because it didn't sell well.
But no
And
one's ever going to release that information.
no, but for something like this, if you go and see Great White or Night Ranger or some band of that ilk, the tickets are in the $50-$60 range, maybe top out at 100 for a VIP package.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, the Gene Simmons solo tour, the tickets were in the $300 range.
I don't even think I'd pay that to see Kiss. Like all of Kiss.
Exactly. Well, I mean,
Like,
the Kiss show is a spectacle with fireworks and all
but I
the
still don't
stuff.
even think I would spend that much to see that, Tim.
Yeah, but just to see Gene and his solo band,
Well, and he's had some controversial moments in the last few years, to say the least, about
oh,
him.
I mean,
Oh,
he's a
testy.
very odd individual. I mean, as
Yeah.
I've said in the last episode, I've been listening to the audiobook of Paul Stanley's autobiography.
Yeah.
And he said he always was an odd duck from the beginning. And he said his upbringing was odd. He said you would call Gene's house. And if Gene was on the lavatory, his parents would say, the master is on his throne and he's not to be disturbed.
Yeah, that I can tell you exactly what that breeds, but I don't want to go there. So
No,
anyway, no, that's a
exactly.
very weird thing to say. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah. So but there's fans of Gene out there. Someone must like him
I
because
mean,
he's
yeah, but is there that many?
yeah. But I mean, at $300 a pop for a solo date with his solo band, probably not. So anyhow, I think the likelihood is the Gene Simmons tour is going to be cancelled. So if you was excited to see Gene front all the songs that he sings in Kiss, sadly, you are going to be out of luck.
Well, darn. Did you have anything else, Tim, or was that your bit for this time?
That was my music news at this time.
All right. So I have a very small bit of music news before I get into the episode. Now, I will say I don't have a number for this, and for some reason I can't seem to find it. I guess this information was released back in January, but today is the day. There is the Rush 50th anthology. It was released today, March 21st to 2025. Give it away when we recorded this, but and of course it is 50 of Rush's most famous, and some of it's live, some of it isn't. You know what I mean? You've got live at Pop Pink Festival, live at Manchester Apollo, you know, to say. So it's like these key pieces of moments from 1973 till today, till 2015, for Rush. And this is their 50th anniversary. What's weird though is, so I saw like many different things saying that this was announced back in January, that today was the release date, but I can't find the price of it, Tim. I have clicked through, I can even see it says it will be available in 5 distinct configurations, including a Super Deluxe Edition, a Restored Deluxe Edition, the Deluxe Edition, the 4 CD Deluxe Edition, and the 5 Digital Edition. But I can't find where the actual price. Oh, maybe I need to click the here button.
I see it here. The Rush 50 Backstage Exclusive Super Deluxe Edition is
Yeah.
$374.
As soon as I read that, I saw the here button, Tim. Yeah, so the Backstage Edition is $374.
It comes with seven. It comes with 7 albums. It comes with 4 CDs.
I don't know if I could do that.
And then a 100-page hardcover book and prints and stuff.
Yeah, as soon as I started reading it, I clicked the here and I'm like, oh, that's where it is. Yeah. $374 though, Tim.
Yeah,
I don't know.
your casual Rush fan is going to pull it up on the Spotify or something and enjoy it in that way. Your hardcore fan, that's not going to be a problem. I mean, I bought the last 2 Brian May box sets and they were almost $200 each. One was less than the other, and I think one of the Starfleet one in particular I didn't think was terribly good value for money, but I'm a fan and I bought them anyway. And Rush's fan base is very hardcore. If you love Rush, you really love Rush. And
it is one of those like cult classics.
yeah, $370 for that sort of anthology career spanning box set. I think for the fans, that's what they want. They want to buy that product and support Rush. But as I said, I like Rush. I'm not a big fan of Rush. I've got like a little CD box set of theirs that didn't cost probably $35 or something like that. And if I wanted to seek this out and look at it in more detail than that little box set I have, I'm just going to pull it up on Spotify.
That's fair. And that's about where I stand. Now, you also can get the R50 Deluxe LP vinyl edition for $249.98. And it looks like this has one, two, three, four, five, six different CDs, or these might actually be vinyls. They're vinyls. And then it does come with the book as well. And then we've got the 4 CD edition. And what's interesting is each of them look like a 6th or a 50th pence. I don't know. It kind of looks like a 60th pence. Like the six, is it 60th pence? 10 the little pence. No, that's 6.
Well, your Brian May coin is a sixpence.
That's what I was trying to think of. But they kind of look like that because they say 50 and they look very similar to that on the little the CD. So you see it, Tim, on the 4 CD
I do,
edition?
yeah. Because I'm looking at the deluxe 4 CD edition.
Yeah, they look, that's what I think the CDs are supposed to be, right?
Yeah, I mean the 4 CD edition is $100, and
Not
I mean
bad.
it's not terrible because it comes with this nice book and everything like that. I mean, I'm done with buying records. I really am. I mean, if Brian
That's
May
fair.
comes out with another box set, I will probably buy it. If they come out with a deluxe expanded edition of any Van Halen material, like they're talking about re-releasing Balance in a deluxe set, I will probably buy that. But the day-to-day vinyl record thing,
Makes sense.
I feel done with it. The quality is not good. They're very expensive, and I've grown not to enjoy that experience. Whereas the compact disc, the music format of the future, excites me.
Well, there you go, guys. As soon as I said that, I was like, I can't find the price. And then I saw, oh, I should click here. Tim was saying it. I'm like, yeah, I see it now. All right, guys. Well, I kind of contemplated. I narrowed this down to 2 podcast topics tonight. I went back and forth and I made a decision, and I might save the other one for another time. Tonight's episode is an episode I can't believe we haven't actually done yet, to be completely transparent with you. We're going to talk about Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah, I think this is an artist that's come up many times on the podcast. Early Fleetwood Mac, later Fleetwood Mac, who spoke about the trials and tribulations of their various marriages, divorces, and otherwise. But no, I don't think we've ever really done an in-depth on any level about Fleetwood Mac.
Exactly. So the way I kind of have this podcast episode set up is we're going to talk a little bit about each member of the band because they all kind of have iconic pieces. Then I've got about 15 songs. We probably won't get to all 15. We'll discuss, and then at the end we will discuss the most famous break of all time and how it led to one of the best albums of all time.
There we go.
Which will, whether they want it or not, Tim, be their that will like be their thing that lives on forever. So first of all, obviously, this is kind of Fleetwood Mac, the songs, the stories, the breakups, whatever you want to call it. We've brought up Fleetwood Mac many times on this. I mean, unless you live under a rock, I don't think you don't know this band. Now, with that being said, we have Stevie Nicks, which she is on vocals, very famously. Rihanna, Dreams, Landslide. She has a raspy voice. She's very hippie looking, and she has an on and off again relationship with Lindsey Buckingham. And she wrote a lot of the songs. So that's kind of her. She's notorious if you go see her in concert for a very specific look when she's on stage.
Yes.
And then, of course, we have Lindsey Buckingham, guitars, vocals, and songwriting. He's notoriously known, if you've seen him talk, I don't know if you have, you've seen this, Tim, but he's kind of known as like a perfectionist from what I gathered. He has a raspy voice. He also likes some hysterical lyrics. And that's pretty much it. I mean, he's really interesting to me as a person because I like a lot of the songs he wrote for. I would say him and the next person I'm going to talk about, Christy McVie, are my 2 favorite songwriters in the band.
Yes.
So Christy McVie, who passed away not too long ago. How long ago was that, Tim? Do you know off the top of your head?
It was a year or 2 ago. It was very recent.
Yeah, it was probably 2023, maybe early 2024. I was very sad to hear this because she is my favorite songwriter, followed very closely by Lindsey Buckingham. But she also played the keyboard, did backup vocals, and she had a very interesting sound to her voice that I think kind of really solidified their harmonies. And then, of course, you have John McVie. And if you guys were wondering, these 2 might have been married. He was the bass player. He's kind of known, I feel like it's one of those... I don't know. When I think of like top bass in the world, I kind of think of Fleetwood Mac. And whether you like bass players or not, I don't know if he's known as historically like the world's best bass player, but I do think as far as bass music going, like the chain and stuff, it sticks out to me very specifically, Tim.
Yeah, I mean, he's not spoken in the same circles as Jaco Pastorius or even a Paul McCartney or something like that. But certainly, his low end is anchors this band. And yeah, you'd speak about the chain. That bass
Mhm.
line is very iconic.
I remember Chubb was asking me one point in time. I think he was setting up surround sound. He's like, "What song should I test our subwoofer with?" And the first thing that my mind went to, I was like, "The Chain." Like that's just how I am. And maybe that's less about his bass playing and more about how well the songs were written. But I
Hmm.
will say, when I think of like, because we all know there's a lot of stereotypes and people don't talk about the bass player very much and blah blah blah, right? I will say that they stand out to me as having a really cool bass sound. And then you have Meek is his name, Tim.
Meek.
Mick Fleetwood. Mick and Fleetwood became one, and we got Meek. It was on the drums. And obviously he's a co-founder and the namesake of the band. I wonder, I didn't really see where they came up with Fleetwood Mac from. I mean, obviously it's his last name, but I wonder how they came to be. I've never really seen anything saying that.
Well, I mean, it's Mick Fleetwood and John McVie, so it's Fleetwood Mac. I mean, that's where it comes from. But quite why they came to that, I don't
I know.
know.
I'd be curious to see what you know what I mean? Because I probably wouldn't have thought of that. I wouldn't have. I'm just going to tell you right now, which is also why our podcast is called the No Name Music Cast, because I'm really bad at naming things, and Tim just went with it.
I thought, well, Joy likes that. We'll stick with that.
Tim's like, I don't care. It's fun. And he liked that we could make a very Ghostbuster-esque looking logo if no one's picked up on that yet. So the first song we're going to talk about after we get in, now that we've kind of summarized the members of the band, it's a pretty obvious one, but I feel like I have to start here because we're talking from 1975, and this is Rihanna, which was written by Stevie Nicks. And I found out when I was reading this, Tim, supposedly the song is inspired by a novel. And there is a Welsh, and this is a very weird thing, and you might not have heard this. Apparently, the name Rihanna is a Welsh goddess.
Okay.
And she's into like florals and the long sleeves, and like the Welsh goddess fits like the Stevie Nicks look, but Stevie Nicks claims she had never heard of that until after she wrote the song.
Interesting. I mean, this is an absolute classic song.
Yeah.
It's one that's always spoken about with Fleetwood Mac. It is so good as well.
Well, and I mean, I know of at least three people who are named after this song, I would imagine. And if you've ever seen anything when they make jokes about, Stevie Nicks' theatrical kind of performances, it's usually this song that's playing when she's flying around the stage.
Absolutely. I mean, I supported the Fleetwood Mac tribute band last
Mm.
year, and they did I think they actually did this in the sound check, and it was absolutely fantastic. And the funny thing is the person that was playing Stevie Nicks in sound check, she just looked like anybody else.
Yeah.
It wasn't a particularly unique look. But I saw them before they went on stage, and she had a stage attire on and makeup and
She went for it.
and it was, and then she had all the movements. It was great.
That's
It's like,
fun.
there you go. There's Stevie Nicks.
Well, from what I've gathered and when I was reading is apparently the live version of this song would always last at least 1 to 2 minutes longer because of all the theatrics and improvisations on stage she would do when Rihanna came on.
I can see that because you're feeling the crowd. You're feeling their energy.
Yeah, you're probably right. Now, this might be, and I talked about Lindsey Buckingham as one of my favorite writers, and this is a good example as to why. And a lot of these songs are kind of like, I'm going to go from early 70s to 80s and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But it's Go Your Own Way, which was written by Lindsey Buckingham, and it was Fleetwood Mac's first top 10 hit in the US specifically. I guess that Rihanna had been a top 10 hit in the UK, but not in America. And Go Your Own Way was the first one in 1977. And it was Lindsey's very public breakup message to Stevie Nicks. The packing up and shacking up's all you got to do,
Yeah, that's
Or
one
all-
thing. One thing about Fleetwood Mac is their famous fidelity and infidelity, and the fact that they're very happy to write songs about what's going on and make the other person sing it.
And what's funny is apparently that line specifically, the packing up and shacking up, made Stevie Nicks very upset, which, and Lindsay refused to change it. He just absolutely refused. She tried really hard. because she knew the song was a seller, right? That it's a great song,
Hmm.
but she didn't like that line. And I imagine it would kind of suck in some way to have to perform that for the rest of your life and know that the song's about you. Do you know what I mean? Like, there would be a little bit of like, really? Do I have to do this forever?
Yeah, I could see that 100%. But also, it's such a great song.
That's why it ultimately made it. You know what I mean, Tim? Like, you couldn't hear that song and the record producing, like, the producer would hear that song and they'd lose it. Like, it's gold.
That's true. But also, she would have been there when it was recorded and they did 37 takes of everything.
Yeah, that's so
It's
awkward.
not like she
Because
heard
you
it for the
know
first
Lindsey
time.
Buckingham standing 2 inches away from her the entire time staring at. And what's funny, if you have seen it, Tim, there are different times where you can go back, let's say in the mid 70s and watch them performing together. And you can see the animosity. Like, you can physically see it on stage, but I think in some way that works because the song is really supposed to be about telling someone to go do whatever they want. And, you know, it sells it. Sadly, it was truth for them.
Absolutely.
Awkward. They didn't have to fake it, I guess. But what's funny is there's a lot of, like, for this song, I think of like, the drumming's really powerful in it. I also think there's a lot of, is there, I could be wrong, Tip, but I think there's layered guitars in this song.
There is, and it's playing that dun 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 dun. Dun. Yeah, it's got that line as the song goes on and it gets towards the end.
Yeah, it feels very, and that gives it that really classic kind of rock, kind of like hitting. I don't know how to explain it, but yes, perfect. All right, so we're going to talk about another one that is written by Miss Stevie Nicks, and this would not be a Fleetwood Mac episode if we weren't talking about from 1977, "Dreams," which was also the number two number one hit in the U.S. for Fleetwood Mac.
Yep, and another absolute classic. Now, our last episode was the classic rock radio live episode where we tuned into WROV to see what they were
I kept
playing.
thinking about whether this was going to be on the list when I was
Yeah,
writing.
I was surprised. I don't think that one came up because I was surprised we didn't have that because that's another one they play every hour.
It's true. And for those who don't know, Stevie Nicks wrote this song, she said, in under 10 minutes on a Fender Rhodes. And she says that this is her answer to Go Your Own Way.
Okay.
So this was like a playback to him writing Go Your Own Way. I didn't know that either, Tim, until this. And I need to, now I kind of want to read the lyrics. I know what the song sounds like, but I'm generally curious. "Dreams," Fleetwood Mac. Let's see.
And for those
really
who
known to
don't
be
know, a
sassy.
Fender Rhodes is a kind of keyboard. The
Good to know.
intro to Queen's I'm Your Best Friend is a Fender Rhodes.
Oh yeah, thunder only happens when it's raining. Players only love you. Okay, I can see how it could be like a callback now that I think about the lyrics, Tim.
Yeah.
Hey. Dang it, now I'm going to have that in my head for the next 74 years. So what's interesting, though, is this is the song in 2020 during the pandemic on TikTok. It became famous again because of a famous YouTuber who was drinking cranberry juice on his skateboard, or maybe it was a longboard in California, and he had this song playing and he was just like skating and he was drinking his cranberry juice, and that man became like a number one, like, TikToker, is a billionaire now, all from this one video. And it made this song, sorry guys, it made this song chart in 2020, like on the top charts, like it went back on the Billboard.
Yeah, and also there was a video where Mick Fleetwood from Fleetwood Mac recreated that video, and it's so funny.
It's so good, honestly. And the guy who was the original one, Tim, who did it, he was like a man who didn't have a lot of money. Like, it couldn't have happened to a better person. Just like the most simple thing that people just enjoyed seeing him just like vibing and having fun. And it's a good song.
Absolutely.
Loved it. All right. Well, I hate to do this because I could never hear this song again and I would be perfectly okay, but I feel morally and legally obligated to talk about it. Tim already knows what I'm going to say. This is 1975, and this is written by Stevie Nicks, and this is "Landslide."
Yes, this has been covered by absolutely everybody. I mean,
Have
of
you
course,
played
the
it live,
definitive
Tim?
version is the Fleetwood Mac version, but there are so many covers of it out there. I mean, I'm not super burnt out on it as much
I
as
am.
you are, but I'm sure that it's been done to death for you.
Well, I think for me, the one it's kind of like when I talk about the Sweet Home Alabama song, though, which will not be named. It's a classic song for like so in Southwest Virginia, when everybody that you were having to like you were in show choir with was learning to play the guitar or something, this would be the song they would play. And then people would try to do those harmonies and, we're 15 years old and we don't sound like Stevie Nicks all the time. And
No,
yeah.
because when you're 15, you haven't loved and lost and done drink and drugs, etc., etc. You don't have that life experience in your voice like Stevie Nicks does.
Well, and I even like the Dixie. There's also the Dixie Chicks version, which I like a lot too. So I think that was also a resurgence of the song in this area specifically. Now, let me restate this: the Chicks. I need to be properly correct because they did change their name. But the Chicks, their version of Landslide recharted, and it was very popular in Southwest Virginia. So I think that had a lasting effect here too. Because Natalie's voice, the lead singer of the Chicks, has a very rich, dark voice, and it fits very well with like Stevie Nicks sound. So that version was very popular here.
Yeah, Natalie Maines is an absolutely fantastic singer, and I'm aware of the version you speak of, and in fact, I have a live album of the Chicks, and that song is very prominently on there. And yes, she does a really, really good version of it.
Well, in my house, we're Team the Chicks. Like, I absolutely adore them. I could do a whole episode on them. We'd be here all week. But anyway, I rate them up there with like Shania and Dolly in my mind. So anyway, but yes, that version's in now. And then there's the Landslide version from, and Tim didn't see this coming, Glee. There's a whole episode of Glee that's the Rumors album. So in Glee, he starts running out of like ideas on what to teach. Every episode is a different week at the school, and he gives them a different topic to focus on music wise, right? Because he's the Glee teacher. And he was talking to Sue Sylvester, and he was like, I don't know what to give them, da 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 da. And she goes, well, you've been wrong. They hate each other, quote unquote. It's a whole thing. It's like a rivalry. But she's like, well, just go back to your lazy form of teaching like you did when you did Saturday Night Fever and just assign them an album. And so he assigns them Rumors. And the irony is like all the couples in the Glee Club at that point are fighting Tim, and he assigned them Rumors to try to bring them back together. So that's why it sticks out to me. There's a lot of jokes in it, but anyway. If you guys are not familiar with that episode of Glee, the music in it is quite good. And the version of Landslide has, what is her name? She's not one of the regular cast members. Hold on. I'll probably surprise you with this. Landslide Glee. I can't think of her name.
Who is it?
Let's see. It's her name's Holly on the show, but that doesn't help anybody. Who was it that played her? Oh, Britney Spears, Holly Holiday. What is her name though in real life? She's the lady behind Goop. Gwyneth Paltrow.
Oh, really? Okay.
So, weird story, guys. Gwyneth Paltrow's not a bad singer. She's not great. I wouldn't, tell everybody to stop the presses and go buy her album, but she's not bad by any stretch of the imagination. She could carry a tune.
Interesting.
She was in like a whole 6 episode spiel of Glee. I don't know how she got that gig, but she was, and she sang quite a few times. And her version of "My Girl Wants to Party All the Time" is pretty iconic.
Interesting. To me, Glee sounds a lot like 30 Rock, where you get big celebrities that don't just do one episode appearance. They come in for like 6 episodes.
Yes. Kristen Chenoweth is another one, the original woman from Wicked, Everybody knows her. She's also an opera singer. She was on there for a long time. Ricky Martin was on there for like 5-6 episodes. The guy who played Jesse on Full House, I can't think of his name right now. Another example of somebody who played a singer in another episode. And generally they would try to take on people who had like some type of singing chops, you know what I mean? And they would do like guest songs, and they would be weaved into just the storyline for like 5-6 episodes, and then they disappear. The longest one is probably Kristen Chenoweth.
Okay.
Or what's her name from oh god, she's originally from Rent. That's gonna drive me insane. I have to look it up. Rent cast. Everybody's like, Joy, it's not that serious, but to me that will drive me insane. I will scream Stevie Nicks with whatever her name is in a minute. What is her name? Idina Menzel.
Oh yeah.
She was Rachel's mother for like 5 episodes too. And so there you go. All right, back to my episode. So this song is probably another one, and I think it's credited that all five members wrote it, but who knows, how true that is. But we were just talking about earlier. We talk about iconic bass lines. If I have to pick one song to ever listen to for the rest of my life, that is Fleetwood Mac, I would pick The Chain from 1977.
Yeah, because of the chain, it's almost like it's two or three songs bolted together, or at least two songs bolted together. Yeah, and it's got that iconic breakdown in the middle with the bass. It was famously used in the UK for Formula One racing. So when Formula One racing was on TV, yeah, it was used as the theme music to Formula One racing, but only from the breakdown where the bass line is.
That's interesting. And they also said it was used in a few other live shows, but it does say Formula One theme specifically. It was constructed in multiple fragments. So Tim's honest, and I didn't know that, but they say it was like they kind of did it in three different fragments. So that's what the song kind of feels, when he's like, and you don't love me. And it just feels like it's building and then it breaks again because that's how they wrote the song. And then, of course, John McVie says he did write the bass line himself for this song. So give him some credit, y'all. I don't know how accurate that is, but that's what they said. But I do think it's interesting you pointed that out because they did say they did it multiple fragments. Tim, you were correct.
There we are. I mean, back in those days, you'd record your fragments and then you would splice the tape together. But now, of course, much like the way I mix this podcast, you just do it on a computer, copy, paste, boom, there you go.
I think what's really interesting for me, just from like a listener's perspective, and there is nothing musically technically about this. I mean, I'm sure there is, but I'm not trying to sound that way. I love, it has that kind of like beats. It's like, listen, but the lyrics are very much the center point of this song. And the music is very much just like a building of the lyrics. Mm-hmm. And so usually a lot of times when we talk about songs, we talk about like the wall of sound and like how the music kind of like builds and then the lyrics are on top of it. And this song, it feels the opposite to me. I don't know if that makes any sense whatsoever, and people are probably going to enjoy you sound, but it's like when I hear this song, if I'm like thinking about it right now, I'm hearing that classic bass beat with like the drum. You hear the drum coming in and then you hear him hitting. That is very secondary to the lyrics. The lyrics feel very whole to me and they seem to be the centerpiece of the song.
Interesting.
I don't know if anybody else believes that, but that's my theory. But it's a really cool song.
Yeah. I mean, theory or otherwise, yes, it's a fabulous song.
I mean, there probably is something to be said about it, but it has a different feel. And that's what stands out to me, is it feels very different than a lot of other songs in that time period.
Yeah, I mean, the 60s, the 70s, and even into the 80s, there was so much music that was created that was iconic and new. And I think this is a complaint we've said many times. From like 2000 onwards, is there anything really new? There's also a debate, is there anything that's good? But I mean, is there anything new? Is there anything groundbreaking? I don't think there is, because everything has been done now.
I mean, it is very hard. That's not even to insult modern day artists. It just adds an extra layer of difficulty to their lives. I mean, how many times so have you heard about Miley Cyrus recently in the court case she's in?
No.
So Miley Cyrus, the song Flowers that she did, which was a play on Bruno Mars's song, If I Was Your Man. I don't know if you know that, Tim. So
I do know that because we do that song in the band.
Okay, well, some of the people who wrote If I Were Your Man are now suing Miley for Flowers. The judge recently, I was reading the court case yesterday, the judge is allowed, so Miley's lawyers tried to get it dismissed from the get-go, as they always do, right? Like, that's what they're going to try to do. But the judge has said it's going to go to court now. So, but it's not everybody, but what I'm gathering is certain people, because you know how me and Tim have talked about when a song gets written nowadays, you have to have 74 people on it. We don't know why, but you have to have 74 people on it. And so Bruno Mars's If I Was Your Man had the 74 different people. I don't know if it's actually 74, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
And some of the people weren't credited, or they didn't get the rights for Flowers, or something didn't happen the way they wanted to. So there's like 2 or 3 members of the people that are behind the songwriting credits who are challenging her, because it's obviously the song, is word for word a playback on it. That was never what was up for question. What's up for question is if they got the proper permission to do it from everyone.
Well, I can tell you, when we perform it in Night Wings, the singer and the keyboard player just do it together, and then all the rest of us leave the stage.
I mean, Well, there you go. Well, if the members of Bruno's songwriting campaign come after you, don't say I didn't warn you.
Well, it's fine because when you perform in a venue, they will have
I know.
a performing arts license thing, so you don't have to worry about that as a cover
Something
band.
like that. But anyway, that's happening right now in the courts. I just was reading about it yesterday. All
There we are.
right.
Look at you,
Well,
completely up to date, Joy.
well, with that being said, I talked about Chrissy McVie is one of my favorite members, my favorite songwriters, and so I had to give you guys my favorite Chrissy McVie song. With the chain, I would say if we had to like rank it one and two, Tim, they're up there. It is Don't Stop from 1977. And this was a post divorce track written for her ex husband, John McVie, if you guys did pick up on the last name thing earlier. And it's one of those songs that sounds really upbeat when you listen to it. But if you pay close attention, it is not upbeat at all.
No, he said that the lyrics tend to be a little darker than you thought that they would be. But yes, it's wrapped up in a kind of poppy, major key great song. Now, it's famously used for the Bill Clinton campaign. Yeah, that was his campaign song.
Tim's looking at my notes over here, y'all.
Yeah, and when he had
his
his inaugural
inauguration.
ball, he invited Fleetwood Mac to perform it. And as we've said before, Mandela effect. I'm convinced that they played Don't Stop, and then Bill Clinton got up on saxophone and jammed with them. I remember this. I remember seeing videos of this. However, when I researched it, there's no evidence of this.
And I've told Tim this story. I've told everybody this story. We're not going to get into politics. Take it for what you will. But both my parents voted for Bill Clinton. Well, yeah, both my parents voted for Bill Clinton. And I remember the night of his inauguration, I was a child. My mom let us sleep on an air mattress in the living room, which, you know, when you're a kid and you think of it as like camping or whatever, it's really fun.
Yeah.
I remember my mom being very excited that he won. Like, she let us sit in front of that TV that night and watch the entire knock. It probably went off air at like, what, 11:30, 12 o'clock. And it was a school night. So this was like a big deal for us. And her being very excited. So I remember them playing that song. And then I remember the day of the inauguration, which is what you're talking about, Tim. I'm pretty sure it's the inauguration where they got up on stage with him. It wasn't the night he won. It was the inauguration. And I don't remember him playing the saxophone. I'm just going to tell you, Tim, because I remember them being on stage with him, but I don't remember the saxophone because Mom let us watch. She was very excited again. And we got to watch the inauguration. And I don't remember it.
Yeah, I'm just convinced he jammed with them on sax. But I said
Maybe
my
he dreamed about it that night.
my internet research suggests otherwise. Now, I think he jammed. I know he jammed with David Letterman's band.
That I have seen, yes.
Yeah, and I've seen that's something I came across because like Dave was interviewing him. I think he was still president, and he was interviewing him. And I mean, they're talking about saxophone, and of course, a saxophone appears, and then he jams with Paul Schaefer, and it's like, look at that, the president is playing saxophone with Paul Schaefer.
So random. But yes, I remember all of this because I was a small child. My mom really loved Bill Clinton. And I think that was his original campaign. I don't know if he used it again for his next campaign. Because to be honest, I think the moment when I remember him getting reelected was his original campaign. Whereas I think the inauguration you're talking about was his first campaign. And I was very little at that point. But I've definitely watched it since. And don't remember him being on stage. Anyway. All right. Well, this is kind of one that it did get a resurgence. It was legendary from its live performance during the dance reunion in 1997. The original was from 1977. It was written by Stevie Nicks, and this is Silver Springs.
Yeah, another classic. So you're talking about that live album, The Dance, are you?
It was the dance reunion in 1997.
Yeah, this is an interesting album because, as I said, as you say, it's all live. And this is one of these CDs you see in thrift shops often. They must have sold millions of copies of that CD because I own a copy that I bought from a thrift shop. But like when you go thrifting, you think, oh, cool, Fleetwood Mac. And you're like, oh, I've already got that one. And then that comes up all the time.
Yeah, I don't know I don't remember seeing this concert, but I've definitely seen the album. It's got like a tan background. They're all kind of like lounging around on the front. I know exactly what Tim's talking about. And when I was doing research, that apparently this song specifically started charting again because of that live version.
Interesting.
So there you go. And there's a line in it that it's like, you'll never get away from the sound of a woman that loves you. And I always find that super interesting because in that live version, supposedly what you saw on stage was Stevie singing that to Lindsay very distinctly.
Interesting.
I've never watched the YouTube, though I need to. I've seen the album, but the album is based off of this live thing, and apparently it was very dramatic on stage, Tim.
Yeah, and I do also know at the very end of the concert, like this marching band comes on and does "Don't Stop" with them. So
I mean, that's pretty cool. Well, now Glee doesn't seem that original because I'm pretty sure at the end of Glee, when they say "Don't Stop," the band comes on stage. I'm gonna have to call someone. So
yeah,
I really like that version, and now it feels very unoriginal.
I think you need to send a strongly worded letter to your MP.
Ryan Murphy, wherever you are, writer, producer, whatever you are from Glee, we need to have a conversation because I really thought that was original, and now I just realized it wasn't. All right. Well, number 8 is another Lindsey Buckingham song, and this is from 1979. This is one that you don't hear very much, but there is a marching band in this one, which is random because of what Tim was just saying. And Lindsey wanted to break from the more polished Rumor sound, and he came out with Tusk.
Yeah, this is a very interesting percussion-heavy song. And yeah, it doesn't quite fit the same mold as the rest of the Fleetwood Mac catalog, but also equally great. I mean, really with Fleetwood Mac, I mean, it's hard to find a dud. I'm sure that there probably are some duds in their catalog, but it's hard to find them.
I will say I have no idea what the song's about because all I remember is like half the words are just the word Tusk. So I'm not really sure what the song's about. It sounds cool though, but it is very. It has a marching band from the University of Southern California playing on it. So I thought that was pretty cool because like it would be cool if you were like forever. You know what I mean? Even if you were just a member of the marching band, you're forever on a Fleetwood Mac song.
That's true, but also if you remember.
Yeah.
When we spoke about Pink Floyd, Another Brick in the Wall, and they invited a music class in to sing backing vocals, Another Brick in the Wall.
They tried to sue them later.
Yeah, and it was seen as a cool experience, and then they sued them for a performance royalty. I would like to think that Fleetwood Mac took care of that marching band.
I have no information to tell us either way. But as far as I can tell, they haven't tried to sue them yet. So maybe.
Well, so, you know,
Tim makes a really good point.
Fleetwood Mac, they're all cool people, you know. They're all probably high. It's like, yeah, it's fine. We'll pay him. It's fine.
That's true. He's probably right. They don't really seem like they've had a lot of stress already in their life. All right. Well, we're going into the 1980s, and with that, we're going to talk about the Chrissy McVie song "Everywhere," which is probably like, you know, it's cheerful, it's dreamy, but I like Chrissy's vocals in it because they're very light. It does have more of a synthetic kind of 80s sound to it. It's a little bit of a change for him.
Yeah, from the album Tango in the Night. I remember when this came out, I remember a friend of my granddad's had this on cassette, and I copied Tango in the Night off her. And I don't know, I really enjoyed this song. It's a good song to this day. It's also a song where I believe the first verse repeats.
It is. It definitely is. The other thing that's really interesting about this song, Tim, is this song has been used in every TV commercial and rom-com since the beginning of time. It's one of those songs that just has that very breezy backdrop that's very easy to be synonymous with a happy-go-lucky whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I can see why you'd probably want to use it. I don't think it's been overexposed, though, at this point. When I hear this song, I don't want to turn it off. I think, well, this is pretty good. I like this.
I think so. And the pieces that I've seen where it's used is just like a little snippet. Like, you know what I mean, Tim? It's usually like that everywhere I go, I see your face on repeat, and that's about it. And then it kind of moves on. I like this song. And like you said, it's not landslide or anything like that for me at this point, not by a long stretch.
No, but as I said, it does have the David Lee Roth School of Songwriting where you repeat the first verse again.
It's true. I mean, you know, Tim, if it works, it works. Like I said many times, I cannot write music.
No, absolutely not. I mean, that's not criticizing the song, but it's that when you hear it, it's very obvious.
That's fair. All right. Well, the next one we're going to go to was from 1987 as well. It was Chrissy McVie and Eddie Quintilia. I don't know if I said that right, guys. And this is Little Lies, which is also kind of a very catchy but emotionally complex song.
Yeah, another one from Tango in the Night, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah, again, I remember when this came out and it was playing on the radio and stuff like that. I mean, again, a great song. It's like Fleetwood Mac when they got into the 80s, they did
Mm.
embrace a more contemporary sound. The sound of these two tracks compared to the ones that we discussed previously, there is a marked difference. They were embracing the sound and production of the time. I mean,
I,
now in the year
yeah.
2025, if you want it to sound like if you're recording it in the 60s or the 70s or the 40s or the 90s or the 80s, all those tools are available to you. And if that's the sound that you're
Hmm.
looking for, like you get a band like Greta Van Fleet, who pretty much sound like Led Zeppelin. The way that it's produced is produced in a similar way to a classic rock band. But certainly in the 80s, as you moved into 80s, people embraced that 80s production. And though this is a really good song, it is a product of its time.
Yes, it's very synth heavy, I think, in that sense. It has that glossy sound of the 80s. It's very emotional and front and in your face. But I will say, when I think of one song that I probably could turn the radio on and it would probably be a 99.1, it might be this one. That
Hmm.
tell me I so like that is so iconic. And it's so interesting because the song really is about just tell me the lies and let me deal with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
there's something to it, and that I think that resonates with people. Christine McVie, had a very. I kind of like I said, her and Lindsey Buckingham rank up there. I prefer their songs over Stevie Nicks songs, as far as like complexity. But I really like what she did a lot of her songs, and I mean, maybe partially because she was the piano player, so she was seeing things through a different lens, I guess.
yeah.
But I always liked how her songs had, like, they were usually emotionally complex, but they still fit the vibe. Do you know what I mean? They were a lot of her songs had like that catchy upbeat, or they really fit what was going on with music at the time. But when you looked at it past the surface, there was some darker things there.
Yeah, I mean that's the mark of a good song, isn't it? You wrap
Hmm.
something up in a glossy
Pretty little
production
bow.
in a major key when in fact it's a darker subject matter. And I said we've spoken before, like Starships, We Built This
Yep.
City. That is a major key, fist pumping pop song, but it's a scathing attack on their record company. And unless you
Hmm.
really listen to the lyrics, you'd never go like, "We built this city," and you think it's great. I think it's great. It routinely comes up on the worst songs ever.
Which
But
I still can't figure out why, but
no, but
when Achy Breaky Heart exists, Jesus.
yeah, but Achy Breaky Heart is catchy.
I mean, it's not the world's worst song, but I'd still rather hear We Built This City.
Yeah, I mean, I love We Built This City. I had it on 7-inch single. I bought it when it came out. I bought the 7-inch single from Woolworths in Hounslow for you bingo card holders out there.
I know. I haven't. I've said Stevie Nicks about 40 times on this episode, Tim. So if someone is a bingo card holder and they have been drinking, they're gone.
Oh,
We
it's
lost
it's
them
it's
15
done.
seconds ago, at least.
They picked this up in 5 episodes time, so they just left it playing and they passed out.
They're asleep. Just sleep it off. You'll feel better in the morning. I do not suggest you should put a warning at the beginning of this episode. If you're playing the bingo card game, please just drink water if you're going to listen to this
Yeah, please
episode.
drink responsibly if you're playing the bingo card game.
Because we will not be held accountable for what happened. All right, but yeah, I do love that song. I will say the next one we're going to go into is an interesting story that has like some lore around it, but there's no one's officially denied or said whether it's true. Now this is 1980, and this is Sarah by Stevie
Mhm.
Nicks. It was a little bit before the other songs, but supposedly there was a girl named Sarah who later married Mick Fleetwood, and the song might have been about a lost child in their relationship. Now, that is the theory. I cannot confirm or deny. I do think, well, I mean, it is known that Mick Fleetwood was cheating on her with her friend, and they later got married and all that stuff. But that's one of the theories that that's what this song's about.
There has been some people who've said that ABBA and Fleetwood Mac are very similar. Apart with ABBA, with Fleetwood Mac there was just more cocaine involved.
Probably. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, I can't confirm or deny it. I mean, Sarah did, who later married Mick Fleetwood, and they were friends, and that's a whole drama for another time. And probably another reason why Stevie Nicks didn't really feel like singing "Shacking Up" on stage with him. But the song, Sarah. I mean, so many people have been named after Fleetwood Mac songs. I'm realizing this now.
Of course.
I mean, I guess I knew, but like when I was in school, because of like everybody who was listening to Fleetwood Mac was the parents of the kids I went to school with, right? Tim as a 90s kid. So Rihanna and Sarah were very popular names. There you go.
And there we are. See, their parents were growing up in the 70s, and there we are.
Well, for what it's worth, Stevie Nicks is quoted as saying, Sarah was a poet in my heart, and she left it as that and did not explain any further.
There we are. She decided for you to interpret it in whichever way that you would like.
I think it's pretty obvious when her husband later married him, but or married her. But good on you. Good for trying to keep an air of mystique around.
Exactly.
All right, Tim, let me know when we're getting pretty close. I do at the end want to talk a little bit about like the breakup and then we can wrap up. But I've got a few more songs here. I'm gonna go next with Lindsey Buckingham's Big Love from 1987, which was originally written as a duet, and Lindsey ended up singing both parts.
Yeah, so Big Love is an interesting song. So the version that is on the album, I think this is on Tango in the Night as well.
So Tim could talk about it. It is.
I think, yeah.
Guitars.
Yeah, the original version is great. It's a great song, and it was a hit, and all this good stuff. And it's interesting, like you say, it was written as a duet, but he sings both parts. However, the definitive version is him playing it solo on guitar. And he plays
his picking style, right?
Yeah, he plays some of the videos he doesn't always play, but he typically plays a Gibson Chet Atkins SST, which is a classical guitar, acoustic guitar, but it's designed for stage use, so it doesn't have a sound hole. It's an electric guitar, but it's a classical electric guitar, if you will. And the way he picks this song, I mean, I can't get my head round it. I mean, I can see what he's doing, but he's giving a really passionate vocal performance and doing this thumb picking thing all the way through it. I don't know. My brain can't comprehend what he's doing in it, and he does it so well. And that is just the definitive version of this song.
So when we were talking about the live performance earlier, people who are like in the guitar world, and I might have picked this so Tim could talk about the finger picking style, that is known as one of the greatest acoustic performances of all time. Like it is like revved around. So that album, The Dance we were talking about earlier, the live performance is the one that people really love. I went and watched it, like Tim was saying, and I have no reference point for it. I mean, I wouldn't know where to begin, but yeah, it was, and I mean, I don't know. Is Lindsey Buckingham outside of that, Tim? I know he's a good musician, but you don't really hear him talk that much on Guitar Worlds.
No, I mean, he's not in the same conversation as an Eddie Van Halen or a B.B. King or,
I feel like he's more of a songwriter.
He's like a songwriter, guitarist type musician. But I mean, he's a fine guitar player. But he's not spoken of in those circles. But his work on this song live is really, really amazing.
Well, there you go, guys. That's Tim's recommendation. If you don't do anything else, just go look up his solo performance on the acoustic of Big Love.
Absolutely.
I would agree too. I had heard of it, Tim, but I didn't do any research about it until before this. Like, I don't think I've ever seen that. And I was surprised because like he's just not someone I really hear people talking that much about a guitar skill.
No, there's a lot of players like that. Like, do you know who Chris Rea is? No. The song On the Beach.
Okay, yeah, I know what that song is. Yeah.
Yeah, he is an amazing slide guitar player. And I read an interview with him in a guitar magazine, and he was touring, and they said, "Oh, who's your guitar player?" And he said, "Me, I'm the guitar player."
That'd be my luck. I mean, it's kind of funny though, but it's weird how that happens. Like, just sometimes people don't realize. I've even said, and I think, and people will argue this with me, Tim, but I truly believe when Prince was originally performing, people ignored his guitar playing, and he got more famous later in life for his guitar playing than he did when he was initially a pop artist.
Yeah, I can say. I mean, as we all know, Prince was a multi-instrumentalist.
Of course.
But I think electric guitar was his primary instrument. Mm-hmm. And he had a very distinctive tone, and his phrasing and things like Purple Rain solo and stuff like that. It's just amazing. And of course, something we've spoken of many times is that Rock and Roll Hall of Fame thing where he's jamming with all those old guard, if you will, and he just blows them away with his playing. And I mean, his performance is amazing.
Yeah, it's just interesting because I feel like, and maybe this is just me not paying attention, but like I feel as though maybe it's because he's passed and people are analyzing him more as an artist, right? Tim, people tend to do that. I feel
Hmm.
like he gets more credit now as like a musician than he did at that time to people outside of just like the diehard Prince fans. It's just
That's
a
true.
theory.
It's a shame that we have to lose someone before people recognize their genius.
Yeah. Well, sadly, I'm going to talk about another Christine McVie song. So there you go. Another one we lost too soon. We're going to go back to 1982 since we're in the 80s now. This is Christine McVie and Robbie Patton. That's who wrote it. Hold Me, which once again, very distinct kind of vocal chemistry shines through in that song.
Absolutely. And famously appears in a Knight Rider episode.
And in the video, have you ever seen the video to this song, Tim? I hadn't until I looked at it. It's in the desert.
No, I'll be honest with you. I don't watch a lot of music videos. If, as we've said before, if MTV still existed, I would have that on routinely and I would see these music videos. But even though YouTube is available and we have YouTube Premium and I can pull up any pop video I want at any time, that's not something I routinely do.
Well, to be completely transparent with you, I've not really watched this video before I was doing the episode, but it's very intense. It's very awkward. It's because it's obviously it's Christine and Lindsey Buckingham's vocals together.
Hmm.
It's a wonderful song, but they're in the Mojave Desert and it's awkwardly intense. Like Tim, you need to go
Interesting.
watch it. It's very strange. They said that during this shooting, though, because you think this was 1982, the band didn't speak to each other at all due to internal conflicts, and it is very apparent in this music video.
Interesting. I mean that's Fleetwood Mac though. They're all marrying each other.
But
They're all having
it's
children with each other, and then they're breaking up with each other and divorcing each other, and then and then
breaking
they're
up, shacking up. That's all you want to
yeah, and
do.
they're all doing drugs with each other. I mean, that's
Drugs.
Fleetwood
I've
Mac
never
for
heard of
you.
those in Sleep with Stevie. Anyway, but yeah, I'm kidding. But yeah, this one though is a really good example, Tim. The only reason when I was looking up episode and I was kind of like looking up different facts on the songs, I come across it, and they said it was in the Mojave Desert and it was notoriously tense. So I was like, okay, I got to see it. And it looks like each member of the band is in their own world. Like they are refusing to acknowledge any other person in the moment, and that is transcending. And then when they're singing at each other, it just looks
Yeah, because
uncomfortable.
all of them had their own private jet, and they had all of them had their own separate limousine,
They
and
walked away from each other as soon as the recording
yeah,
stopped.
that's exactly what happened.
I mean, we have enough money that you can live whatever world you want, but it's very interesting. If you guys can do anything, Tim's recommendation on the guitar, this is my recommendation on things to look up. Go look up that music video. And it's one of those ones, Tim, though, and I don't know if you get like this, but I have a hard time watching cringy stuff like that. Like I physically feel it in my being and I want to turn it off. That's the way that music video makes me
Yeah,
feel.
Hannah's like that with something. She's like, I can't look, turn it off,
So
turn it
don't, I
off.
can't do it. I like physically start cringing and I can't do it. All right. Well, I will do two more songs and then we will talk about the epic breakup of all time. How's that sound, Tim?
Sounds good to me.
All right. So we're going to go back to the 70s because I just want to talk about this song. This is You Make Loving Fun by Christine McVie, which was written about Christine's secret affair with the band's lighting director. Though she's told John it was about her dog.
See, I
So
mean, Fleetwood Mac was stepping out. They were stepping out from the band. They were getting involved with the crew.
I know. I just like I want to know how John McVie thought the song was about a dog. Like I love my dog. Tim knows I'm a huge animals rights advocate, but this song is very obviously not about a dog. Don't break the spell. It would be different, and you know it. You made loving fun, and I don't have to tell you, but you're the only one. There's no way that's about a dog.
No,
Like no.
it's about a lighting director, is what it's about.
It's about she had some fun on the side and had to lie to her husband who was also in the band.
I mean, logistically, how does that work? I mean, she's probably sharing a room with him,
I
and
have
they're
no
all
idea.
traveling together. I mean, how does that even work?
Drugs, Tim. One passed out one place and one passed out the other. I don't
I mean,
know.
that's very true.
Um, We live very different lives than them, is all I'm gathering. All right. Well, we will leave it with one more Christine McVie song. And this is Songbird from 1977, which is a song about peace and love, really, and that kind of thing.
Absolutely. Peace and love, as said by Ringo Starr.
And it's, frequently played at every funeral, wedding, special event. Have you ever played Songbird, Tim?
No, I haven't. I've played a few of these songs over the years, but I've never played that one.
What would you say is the most like Fleetwood Mac song that you've had come up the most?
I would say as of late, I mean, it's not strictly speaking Fleetwood Mac, but sort of is Gold Dust Woman.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Oh, I lost you, Joy. I lost you at the final furlong.
Yeah. Oh, I heard you. Did you hear me? All right. Can you hear me now, Tim?
Yeah, 8:30 p.m. Joy.
Just repeat what you said, that because I said Fleetwood Mac adjacent. Just respond. Just repeat the last thing about the song you played.
Okay. Yeah, I would say it's not strictly speaking Fleetwood Mac, but Gold Dust Woman.
That's kind of interesting. Fleetwood Mac adjacent.
Absolutely. I mean, we're very lucky in Nightwings that we have a fabulous keyboard player singer, and she does a really good job with Gold Dust Woman.
I imagine having a female singer in your band opened you guys up to a lot more songs.
Oh, it's like a breath of fresh air. It really is. From the songs that you can do and the harmonies she does, it really is. It's because it's normally just like sweaty men with beards in bands. It really opens up the sound.
Well, there you go. So with that being said, we've talked about there's a lot of drama. So for those who don't know, the Fleetwood Mac Rumors album is regarded as one of the greatest albums of all time. But they had a full-blown romantic collapse. Stevie and Liz were done. Christine and John were divorcing. Mick's own marriage was ending, and he secretly had an affair with Stevie's best friend.
as you should.
So there you go, guys. And they were barely functioning, but somehow they still wrote, recorded, and toured together, which sounds like pure torture. And obviously, as we talked about, Go Your Own Way Dreams, Don't Stop, The Chain, and so on and so forth was their way of managing this into, I guess, healthy-esque. I don't know if it was healthy, but music.
Well, like you said,
I don't know, would you say that's healthy?
I think their drug use maybe smoothed over their infidelity. I don't know.
Well, that's probably true. All right. Well, is there anything else you'd like to tell the people, Tim?
Just be kind to everyone that you meet.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.